Hello there, I'm Nadia. Good to see you, whether you're here for the first time or back again for truly f***ed up tales. This is episode 4, A Prom for the Dead. At an old house in the small town of Elmwood, not terribly far from my own hometown of Luna Vista, 12 years after the turn of the millennium, Frank Stevens looked at the portrait of his departed daughter Emily over the mantel. He tried to read the final letter she wrote to him before taking her own life, but the letters danced around, making it impossible to read. He hadn't been able to make sense of words since he'd been struck by that car the day after his and Emily's last fight. He'd been known for his strict parenting and unwavering discipline. Though he'd never raised a hand to her, as his late wife wouldn't have approved, he was pretty quick to ground her on a whim, often for things she hadn't even done or failed to do, whichever was applicable. As a widower, he had shouldered the responsibility of raising his daughter Emily alone since shortly after her 10th birthday. He still remembered that last argument between them. It had been 7 years ago, and just 3 days before her senior prom. He could not remember why he'd grounded her and told her she wasn't going, but as he looked at this portrait, all he could manage to murmur was, "I wish I could go back and pick my battles better." After Emily's tragic death, Frank's life spiraled into a state of torment. He still did not know what her final letter to him said. Every night, her ghost appeared, haunting him relentlessly, with sad, pleading eyes and a translucent figure. Tormented by grief and guilt, Frank couldn't bear the weight of Emily's spirit haunting him anymore. He had to find a way to bring closure and peace between them, for both of their sakes. Then a truly bizarre idea, perhaps even outlandish enough that it might even work, popped off in Frank's mind like a light bulb. What about a formal dance for the lost spirits of Elmwood? A prom for the dead. He knew how ludicrous it sounded, but he still decided to organize a grand formal event for the lost spirits of Elmwood, where they could finally find closure. Over the coming weeks, with the help of sympathetic townspeople, Frank meticulously planned the prom for the dead. A rented conference room at the Elmwood Inn was transformed into a grand ballroom adorned with string lights and streamers, in the local school colors, and even one of those disco balls he thought was kind of cheesy, but always seemed to be popular at every prom since disco was still in style. He invited the restless spirits to attend, hoping it would be the key to releasing Emily's troubled soul. The night of the prom arrived, and the spirits of Elmwood materialized in their ethereal forms. The conference room was filled with an otherworldly energy as the lost souls danced and mingled, their faces revealing both sorrow and relief. Frank, dressed in a tailored suit, watched the spectral dance unfold before him. He searched the crowd for Emily, yearning for a chance to see her one last time. As the evening progressed, he felt a semblance of peace, believing that he had finally fulfilled his duty as a father. Frank stepped outside the hotel for a moment to smoke a cigarette, and that's when he heard a voice that had eluded him for 3 years. "Those things will kill you." He found himself face to face with his daughter, in her ethereal form, but this time, not with a wistful expression, but a happier one. "Did you really go to all this trouble for me?" All he could do was nod. She hugged him and then proceeded toward the front door of the hotel. Then, the sound of thunder and the pouring of rain outside. Within seconds, a full-blown thunderstorm engulfed the hotel. People rushed inside. Another spirit yelled at Frank to take cover, and that was when a bolt of lightning struck him, overwhelming his senses and throwing him to the ground. As his vision blurred, he could hear an unfamiliar voice. He blacked out, but could still hear the voice. "I think he's waking up." Someone called Dr. Callahan and his daughter. She wanted to know if and when he ever woke up. Could it be? Was Emily still alive? He came to in a small room in a residential nursing home. It suddenly dawned upon him that he might have been in a coma. A devastating realization dawned upon him. He might have been suffering from dementia all along, his mind playing tricks on him, conjuring up a haunting that was nothing but a manifestation of his own guilt and regret. His eyes fluttered for several minutes as he came to again, or perhaps given his new surroundings, for the first time in a while. A nurse looked into his eyes. "He lives. I guess I won the pool we had on you. They had you waken up again at 50 to 1. I put $10 on it. Guess I owe you a pizza sometime." Frank faced the nurse. "Where am I?" Sir, you've been in a coma for 7 years. Frank looked at a calendar on the wall, which still read 2012. But shouldn't it be 2019 if I've been in a coma for the last 7 years? I got struck by that lightning bolt in 2012. I'm not sure what you're talking about, sir, but you were hit by a car in 2005, and you've been in a coma ever since. I was only a C student when it came to math, but I'm pretty sure if it's 2012 now, you were in a coma for 7 years. Your daughter Emily is on her way as we speak. She's still alive? Yes, sir, alive and well. Over the next couple hours while he lay in the bed in his private room at the facility, Frank's mind still felt clouded by the remnants of a harrowing 7-year dream. In his coma, he had experienced the deepest anguish a parent could endure, witnessing the tragic loss of his beloved daughter. The dream had felt so vivid, so painfully real, that he fought back tears, and only hoped he could keep it together when Emily arrived, and not have tears streaming down his face. The weight of grief clung to his heart, leaving him in a state of profound melancholy. As the sunlight waned, and a warm orange glow spilled through the curtains, a gentle knock on the door broke the silence. Frank's eyes flickered with a mix of trepidation and anticipation. He couldn't help but wonder if his daughter's presence had transcended the realm of his dream. The door creaked open, revealing a figure that seemed both familiar and distant, until he saw the sparkle of his daughter's eyes. It was her, his beloved daughter, Emily. The room filled with bittersweet emotions as Frank and Emily locked eyes. She stepped cautiously toward him, her every movement betraying the pain she had endured, much like the phantom pain that still gripped Frank's heart. With hesitant tenderness, she reached out, gently caressing her father's hand. In that touch, Frank found solace, a beacon of hope amidst the storm of his comatose nightmare. Emily's voice trembled as she began to speak, recounting her journey over the past 7 years. She reassured Frank that she was alive and well, that his worst fears, as hauntingly vivid as they sounded, had been just a dream, a manifestation of his deepest anxieties. "I'm sorry I was such a hard ass to you," he uttered. Emily smiled and shrugged her shoulders. Water under the bridge. However, I did defy you and still go to the prom. I'm really glad you did, Frank said. During my coma, I dreamed an alternate reality the whole time apparently, and well, I'd rather not get into the details right now. Someday, but not today. When you're ready, and only then if you're ever ready, Emily replied, but it's entirely up to you. Let's just say how grateful I am that you're okay, and I know we had our differences in the past, but I'd like to rewrite the future with you if you'll allow me to. Emily nodded her head with a gleeful smile, happy tears running down her cheeks. I would love that. From that day forward, Frank would cherish every moment with Emily, grateful for the chance to rewrite the ending of his dream and create new memories that would forever replace the haunting echoes of the past, and they lived happily ever after. Until 11 years later, when Frank was hit and killed by a drunk, texting driver named Bob, who at least ended up getting 10 years in prison, and then disappeared shortly after getting out. Although Emily had vowed revenge against Bob the day he got out, and he was last seen alive at a convenience store in Luna Vista, the Luna Vista police have pretty much ruled out any possibility that Emily actually made good on her promise of vengeance, and I can neither confirm nor deny that I have any knowledge whatsoever either. Don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, and maybe you won't go to prison, then disappear the day you get out of the clink. Be safe, everyone. If you liked that, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to share with others who might like this truly fucked up tale. See you next time, assuming you don't get eaten by a bear. Thanks for watching.